My childhood sweetheart is the male lead, but I'm the villainous. No matter how hard I try, his gaze is gradually drawn to the heroine. The moment he ditches me for her yet again, I realize it's time for me to leave. I apply to the system to exit this world. Host, you have 1 month left, the little system reminds me kindly. I nod to show I understand. The food on the table has gone cold, and the cake has a birthday message for me written on it. The guy who promised to spend every birthday with me didn't keep his word this time. Ethan and I grew up together as childhood friends, eventually becoming a couple. This is the first time he's missed my birthday. He said he had something important to deal with, which is why he broke his promise. I know he went to be with the heroine. Lately, this has been happening more and more. I know I've lost. The plot is the plot, it's not something I can control. Silently, I dump the food into the trash. Then I grab the cake and start eating it by myself. The frosting is so sweet, sweet enough to turn bitter. For the first time, I finish an entire cake alone. It's 3 a.m. Ethan comes back. I close my eyes and feel him getting closer. He says, "Sorry, I got back late. I had something to take care of today. Next time, I'll definitely spend your birthday with you." Next time? Too bad I won't have another birthday to celebrate. I don't say anything, just roll over and turn my back to him. A silent stillness spreads between us. I clutch my stomach, curling up in pain. Ethan's worried voice cuts through. "Lila, what's wrong?" The doctor scolds me. "You're a grown adult, how could you eat a whole cake like that? What were you thinking?" Feeling guilty, I lower my head and sit quietly. It won't happen again. I won't have another chance to eat a birthday cake. Ethan helps me walk out of the hospital. He suddenly stops. "Did you eat the whole cake by yourself because I didn't come back for your birthday? Were you trying to guilt trip me by hurting yourself?" "No," I reply quickly. "I told you, I had something urgent to deal with last night. Can you stop being unreasonable?" "Yeah, I know." I respond in a calm, even tone, so different from the screaming, hysterical mess I used to be. Ethan pauses, caught off guard. He looks at me with an unfamiliar expression. Ever since I applied to leave this world, I've been free from the plot's control. Finally, I'm not acting like a shrew anymore. I glance up. My reflection is the only thing in Ethan's eyes. But I know someone else has already taken root in his heart. The heroine, Sophie. I was always just a stumbling block in their love story. As Ethan grows more attached to Sophie, I notice I've changed too. I've become irritable, suspicious, overly possessive. But that's not the real me. The plot turned me into someone I don't recognize. It's the role the author gave me. The rift between Ethan and me keeps growing. It wasn't until I hit my head hard that I remembered I'm a transmigrator, stuck as the villainess in this story. That's when I started to wake up. "Ethan, I'm feeling tired. I want to go home." "Okay, let's go home." He sounds visibly relieved. Ethan and I met when we were 3. We'd been by each other's side for almost 20 years. We're each other's most familiar presence. I thought we'd be together for the rest of our lives, but now, the rest of the road, we'll walk separately. I've been sick these past few days, staying home to recover. Ethan's busy with work, but he takes time off to stay with me. He's always been like this. When he wants to treat someone well, he holds them in the palm of his hand. So good it's hard to say no. But that goodness has slowly shifted to someone else. Ethan's always been strict with himself. During meetings, he never brings his phone. But now, he's distracted. In just half an hour, he's picked up his phone at least 5 times. A faint smile tugs at his lips. I stare at the scene, a little dazed. How long has it been? How long since I last saw Ethan smile so genuinely? I force a smile, bitterness spreading inside me. To be fair, it's not entirely Ethan's fault. Ever since Sophie showed up, I've changed. I've lost count of how many times we've argued. The fact that he still bothers to check on me is already more than I deserve. I take in every detail of the house. From the chopsticks to the appliances, everything was picked out by Ethan and me together. Back then, we were so excited about our future. We poured all our enthusiasm into building our little love nest. Who could have guessed that in just a few months after Sophie appeared, everything would change? I can tell Ethan's heart isn't with me anymore. So I sent him off to work. I've got half a month left on my life countdown. My body's visibly deteriorating. Ethan notices something's off and wants to take me to the hospital. I brush it off, saying it's just lingering discomfort from eating the cake. I'll get better with time. He doesn't push further. The moment he steps out the door, I can sense his excitement, probably because he's going to see Sophie. I give a self-deprecating smirk. Even if I try to convince myself this is all set in stone, watching the person I love slowly fall for someone else, while I'm powerless, still stings. With little time left, I want to say goodbye to this world properly. I grab some cat food and head out. There's a stray cat near our place. I wanted to adopt it once, but it's too wary, unwilling to be tamed. So I let it be. I won't get to see it again after this. I wonder if it'll miss me. I pet it one last time, rambling on about random things. The little cat seems to sense something. It rubs against my legs, meowing anxiously. I know cats and dogs can tell when someone's unwell. It's trying to warn me. But I know I'm beyond saving. Even if I went to the hospital, the doctors wouldn't find anything. Feeling its kindness, I manage a small smile. Thank you. I'm okay. When I've got 8 days left, I can feel my life slipping away. Strength drains from my body. I start coughing more, even coughing up blood. I hide it all perfectly. Ethan's mind isn't on me anyway. He's out early, back late. We live under the same roof, but it's been ages since we've crossed paths. Sometimes I wonder, if he knew I was dying, would he still ignore me like this? I'm curious, but I don't want to tell him. I gather my savings and make arrangements. My parents passed away years ago in an accident. Besides Ethan, the only person left is my best friend, Mia. I go to the bank to close my account. The clerk tries to dissuade me. You could keep it open. Opening a new one later will require a lot of paperwork, it's a hassle. I won't need it anymore. You're missing one document. It's too late to get it now, we're closing soon. You might have to come back tomorrow. Thinking of my limited time, I plead, can you wait half an hour for me? I might not be able to come back later. She looks at my frail face, hesitating. I give her a gentle smile. Yeah, I don't have much time left, so please, I'd appreciate it. As I leave the bank, I faintly hear soft sobs behind me. Looks like she's a kind, soft-hearted girl. So even a stranger would feel sad for me. I silently apologize in my heart. Back home, I look at the nearly empty house. In a couple of days, every trace of me will be gone. Ethan comes home early for once. He finally notices something's wrong. Why's the house missing so much stuff? I wanted to replace it with new things, I say casually. He doesn't argue, just tosses me a card. Fair enough, it's time for a change. Use this, buy whatever you want. I suddenly ask, can you come shopping with me? I'm really busy with work. He doesn't even spare me a glance. But I catch the irritation in his tone, like he's annoyed I'm being so clueless. If he'd just look up, he might see the sadness spilling out of my eyes. I force the tears back. Taking a deep breath, I say, okay, I get it. I'll go by myself. Ethan's always saying he's busy. But on my way back from the bank, I saw him eating with Sophie. They were laughing and talking. The vibe was so perfect, there was no room for a third person. I vaguely recall that we used to be like that too. Now, he doesn't even have time to shop with me. So this is what falling out of love feels like. Every little detail reminds me, Ethan doesn't love me anymore. I cover my mouth, coughing hard. Ethan frowns at me. I quietly ball up the bloody tissue in my hand. What did you eat this time? He snaps, annoyed. I shake my head. Seeing I'm fine, he turns to leave. Ethan. I grab his arm on impulse, testing him. If I were gone one day, would you be sad? No. He stares at me, eyes dark. Stop pulling that old trick, Lila. Running away like you did as a kid, I'd advise you to drop it. Back when he spoiled me, I ran away once. It terrified him. He pulled every string he had, nearly turning Chicago upside down. When he found me, he hugged me, trembling. Lila, I'm ordering you, don't ever leave my sight again. Please don't go. I'd be so scared. I trace his features with my eyes. He looks awful when he frowns. Does he even remember how much he used to fear losing me? I don't think he does. How can his memory be so bad? He's forgotten how much he loved me, so he'll probably forget all the things I did that annoyed him too. Okay, I get it, I nod. So he wouldn't be sad. A stranger might shed a tear for me, but I smirk bitterly to myself. It's better if he's not sad. Why would the male lead mourn the villainous? Watching Ethan's back, I silently whisper, goodbye. Ethan's going abroad for a 2-week business trip. I secretly arranged it through his assistant. On the day he leaves, I don't see him off at the airport. I just hand him his suitcase at the door. Safe travels. He gives me a deep look. There's something complicated in his eyes I can't read. But in the end, he says nothing and walks away. I watch the car disappear, finally unclenching my fists. A coughing fit hits me. I almost think Ethan noticed something off. I pack my bags, taking one last look at the home we built together. The sadness in my chest threatens to overflow. One final step. I call out to the smart home system. Alex. Yes, owner? Remove Lila's fingerprint access. Understood, owner. Lila's fingerprint access has been removed. I drag my suitcase out. The sky's gray, like rain's coming. A cold wind cuts through, giving me goosebumps. My hands turn purple from the chill. Instinctively, I reach for Ethan's jacket pocket to warm them. Then I turn and realize he's gone, off on his trip. My body's getting worse by the day, I'm even forgetting things. I give a bitter smile. Even if he weren't away, Ethan wouldn't warm my hands anymore. My poor circulations always made my limbs cold, especially in winter. Ethan was the opposite, a human heater. He couldn't stand seeing me suffer, so he'd always have gloves ready. He'd tease me, but then he'd slip my hands into his pockets to warm them. The guy who promised to keep my hands warm forever might be holding someone else's now. I take one last look at the place we lived in for years. Then I turn and leave. We moved here in spring, now it's early winter. Two became one. I return to a small apartment I bought. 6 days left on the countdown. I scroll through my messages. Mia sent me a ton. Did you lose your mind? You got me so much stuff. That bag I've been eyeing forever, it's so expensive, and you just gave it to me? Yeah, it's yours. I hit the lottery recently, gotta share with my bestie. I'm getting better at lying lately. Even keeping a straight face. Mia's too carefree to notice anything's wrong. She rambles excitedly, then asks, you and Ethan okay now? If I weren't stuck abroad working on my thesis, I'd rush back and deck him. I pause typing, then slowly reply, we're fine. Don't blame him. Yeah, true. Ethan's crazy about you. Probably just a little lover spat. Take a step back, don't be stubborn. It's hard on you too. I suddenly feel a pang. Everyone knows how much Ethan loved me. But the one who said he loved me first let go first. Right now, I'm glad Mia's abroad and can't come back. If she saw how mean and bitter the plot made me, she'd find me scary and foreign. She'd regret being my friend. But I'm still going to upset her. With her temper, she'll want to smack me when she finds out I lied. This time, I won't be able to cheer her up. After ending our chat, a new message pops up. I buy a bunch of small gifts and head to a nearby orphanage. Back in college, I volunteered here regularly. After graduating, I got too busy. So I asked someone to drop off donations instead. It's been a while, the director says with a warm smile. Then he takes my hand, worried. You've gotten so thin. Did something happen? I shake my head, softening my voice. No, I just haven't had much appetite lately. Where are the kids? I'll go see them. I hand out the gifts I brought. Then I push open a door in the corner. Noah's there, as expected, quietly drawing. Even with gifts being given out, he doesn't join in. Like nothing in the world matters to him except the pencil in his hand. I set a gift on his desk, saying nothing. I just sit nearby, watching him sketch. Noah has autism and barely speaks, lost in his own world. Drawing's the only thing he loves. When I started volunteering, he was the first kid I looked after. At first, he hated me getting close. Later, he let me sit and watch him draw. That became our way of connecting. The room's silent except for the scratch of pencil on paper. You're not coming back, are you? Noah suddenly says. His dark eyes look at me timidly. It's the first time in years he's spoken to me first. My fingers tense. Facing those clear eyes, my throat feels blocked. I can't say a word. I can lie to Ethan and Mia without blinking. But not to Noah. I knew you wouldn't come back. When my mom left me, she did the same, bought me new clothes and snacks. He keeps talking when I don't respond. I rub his hair, heart aching. I'm sorry. Did you marry Ethan? Noah asks. I freeze. How do you know Ethan? He comes to see me every month. He messed up one of my drawings. Noah pulls a picture from his drawer and hands it to me. The style's unmistakably his. But in the corner, there's some writing. Lila, when are you going to say yes to marrying me? You're so dense, when will you figure out the secret? It's Ethan's handwriting. Lila's my nickname. I trace the bold, messy words, tears welling up. Leaving the orphanage, I wander aimlessly. Noah gave me the drawing. A parting gift, he said. I pass a trash can and nearly tear off those words to throw them away. But I can't bring myself to do it. I stop and look up. Somehow, I've ended up near our old college. Without thinking, I step into a nearby restaurant. It's been years, the decor's faded. But it's still packed with students, just like back then. Ethan's a trust fund kid, never wanted for anything. The year we interned after graduation, he got his first paycheck from his own hard work. Just a few grand, but he was thrilled. He dragged me here to this new place, telling me to order whatever I wanted. Lila, I can earn my own money now. I'll take care of you with what I make. He kept that promise. When it came to spending, Ethan never skimped on me. I order a signature dish that was popular back then. Sorry, ma'am, that dish isn't on the menu anymore, the waiter says, handing me a new one. Check out our other specials, they're great too. I blink, dazed. Time really has passed. I start to leave, but the manager stops me. You're Lila, right? I nod, confused. This is for you. He digs out a yellowed envelope and hands it to me. What's this? I hesitate, unsure about taking it. When we opened, we had an event, write a letter to your future self, 3 years later, the manager says nostalgically. We meant to mail them, but since you're here, about 3 years later, I'll just give it to you. I remember now. They did have that event. Ethan was all over it, wanting to try everything. What people call a loud romantic now. He was obsessed with doing all the cheesy couple stuff with me. I recall him spamming the school's confession wall with sappy love notes for 3 days straight. I was too embarrassed to even go to class. I open the envelope. The postcard has one line. 3 years later, hi Lila, have you become Mrs. Ethan yet? It's Ethan's writing. We were deep in love then. After writing, he insisted we swap cards. Said we'd read them together in 3 years. I flip it over, there's a half sentence on the back. If not yet, wait for me. I'll keep trying. We really did love each other so much. All the fighting and coldness lately almost made me forget how badly we once wanted to be together. I pull out my phone and start deleting our college years chat history, one by one. I delete messages and cry. Some of that old love was captured in words. The further back I scroll, the more he loved me. Now, he doesn't. Reading those old promises now feels like knives to the heart. It hurts so much I can barely breathe. Clutching my aching chest, I head back. This time, I stop at our high school. Ethan and I were classmates from the start, even desk mates. We went to Lincoln High in Denver for junior high and high school. I stare at the familiar building, lost in thought. This is where I first realized I liked Ethan. Later, by some twist of fate, we confessed to each other. We studied for exams while hiding our teenage crushes. But the joy in our eyes was impossible to conceal. Every word from the other felt like a puzzle to solve. Terrified of upsetting the one we liked. Lila? A familiar voice pulls me back. I wipe my tears. It's my high school homeroom teacher, Ms. Carter. I thought I got the wrong person, she says, grabbing my hand to look me over. What brought you back? I smile softly. I was just passing by and stopped in. She teases, missing the good old days, huh? Something like that. I follow Ms. Carter to her office for a bit. The setup's still the same as years ago, hardly changed. But we all have. Where's Ethan? Didn't come back with you? That troublemaker, only you could keep him in line, she says with a playful look. He's on a business trip. No wedding plans yet? I've been waiting for that invite. He promised I'd be there when you tied the knot. I bite my lip, trying to sound casual. Not yet. Ms. Carter was the first to catch us dating in high school. She didn't force us apart, just gave us a lot of advice. Luckily, Ethan and I took it to heart. We didn't get together officially until after graduation. The moment we left the exam hall, Ethan confessed to me on a news interview. Ms. Carter watched us, exasperated but happy. At the class reunion dinner, Ethan boldly promised to invite everyone to our wedding, travel and all on him. A young man's love was fierce and real. He turned to me with a grin, his eyes full of me. But now, we're breaking that promise to everyone. After saying bye to Ms. Carter, I pass the old music room. Something makes me stop. My 18th birthday was at school. Ethan sneaked me into the music room to celebrate. He played the guitar and sang for me. Someone's moved into my heart now. Back when we were little you and me. Rehearsing lines like in a play. Your missing tooth made words sound funny. I'm searching for that story's missing piece. You're the part one can't let go. Small hands holding small hands tight. Guarding our little forever. When he finished, he raised a brow, smug. How's that? Your boy's got pipes, right? Singing little one for my Lila. He giggled like an idiot after. I bet you can't stand anyone else's version after hearing mine. He mumbled a soft, pouty threat. You're not allowed to listen to anyone else sing it. I knew what he meant. My face went red. It started when I told a classmate I'd only say yes to a guy who sang Little One to confess. Ethan overheard and got competitive. Practiced who knows how many times before singing it for me. We locked eyes, both blushing. Now, things have changed. Those youthful promises were too fragile. I take out my phone and delete our high school chat history, one by one. Leaving the school, I nearly collapse. A kind stranger steadies me. My body's telling me time's almost up. 3 days left. Good thing I've done most of what I wanted. Finally, I head back to our old neighborhood, where I first met Ethan. The weather's getting colder. I look up, Denver's first snow should be soon. The neighborhood's quiet, just a few people walking dogs. Some kids chase each other, laughing. I stare at the slide in the corner. 2 kids are arguing over who gets to slide first. The scene yanks me back to the past. As kids, Ethan and I were like that, always fighting over stuff. Everything was a competition. Kids' likes and dislikes are so obvious. Back then, we couldn't stand each other. Who'd have thought we'd end up together? Fate's funny like that. I shuffle away slowly. Just a few steps, and I'm already winded. Then someone bundled up slams into me hard. I stumble, nearly falling. They don't even apologize. I frown, ready to say something. But then I see them charging at the kids. Oh no, a trafficker. He grabs one kid and bolts. The other latches onto his leg. I don't know where the strength comes from. I run over and ram into him. He crashes down, hands around my throat. Run! I yell with everything I've got. The trafficker sees the kid escape and hits me hard. He gets up to chase them. I grab his arm, holding him back. The commotion draws a crowd. He can't shake me off and pulls a knife. Stabs me. Lila! That gut-wrenching scream is thick with despair. Screams and chaos fill the air. I lie on the cold ground, tuning it all out. I just stare at the scruffy guy in front of me. Someone who should be abroad on a trip is here. Ethan rips off his coat, wrapping me in it and pulling me close. Lila. He keeps calling my name. Look at me, don't fall asleep. Why's this happening? This isn't right, he mutters. His voice cracks with tears. I look at him, confused. Guess it's not just my life fading, my brain's slowing too. Ethan wants to hold me tight but hesitates, afraid of hurting me. Something cold hits my face. It's Ethan's tears, falling like they're free. Ethan, you liar, you said you wouldn't be sad. The sky's still gray. They're waiting for an ambulance. I'm waiting for death. I know even the hospital can't save me now. Seeing Ethan one last time, no regrets. He's the one I loved through my whole youth. Snowflakes start to fall. The first snow of the year. Didn't expect I'd get to see it with Ethan before I go. We used to watch every first snow together. This is the last time. Here's to growing old with the first snow. We've seen so many first snows, but we won't grow old together. Maybe he really did want a future with me once. The snow picks up. I shakily reach out, catching a tiny flake. My eyelids grow heavy. Lila, please, don't sleep. I'm begging you, Ethan pleads. He's a mess, sobbing. I force my eyes open, using my last strength to wipe his tears. He grabs my hand, holding it in his, trying to warm me. Too late. Ethan chokes back sobs. Please, wake up and look at me. I feel myself getting lighter, drifting away from Ethan. I float above, watching him cradle my lifeless body, crying in agony. Blood stains the ground. The falling snow turns red. I don't know how long I drift until I finally land. When I open my eyes, I'm surrounded by people. Lila, you're awake. The closest one hugs me, crying. I sluggishly hug her back. My throat's dry and rough. Mom. Tears spill out. I thought the system would send me to another world. Instead, it brought me back to my original one. The moment I returned to my real body, all my memories flood back. I drowned by accident before. They saved me, but I became a vegetable, unable to wake up. Then the system popped into my head. It said if I completed a task, I could wake up. Thinking of my loving parents and my snarky but caring brother, I couldn't bear them grieving. I agreed without a second thought. It sent me to Ethan's world. At first, I remembered my task. Then somehow, I forgot. Living with Ethan day by day, I naturally fell for him. Good thing he felt the same. We had some sweet times together. Until Sophie showed up, and I got paranoid and anxious. I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Our relationship tanked fast. Fights and cold wars became routine. I tried to figure out why. Ethan might betray me. But I knew myself, that wasn't me. During another fight with him, I hit my head. That's when I remembered the system. I realized the plot was driving us to this. Knowing the truth hurt. In my real world, I might have just been in a coma for years. But in Ethan's world, I had a family, friends. I lived 20 real years. I tried to change the plot but failed every time. Ethan and I grew further apart. The facts told me not to fight the story with my own strength. I'm just a side character. A nasty, unreasonable villainess. Being abandoned is the ending the author gave me. When Ethan ditched me for Sophie again, I knew I couldn't keep fooling myself. Time to go. I whispered to the system, "Why'd you send me back?" I failed the task. Thought it'd send me to another one or punish me. But it brought me home and woke me up. The system doesn't answer. Not knowing's a good thing too. With that, it vanishes. I feel like it was all a dream. But the pain in my heart's real. To spare my family worry, I keep it all hidden. It's too crazy to explain. I stick to checkups and exercise daily. Walking's no problem now. Life's back on track. But late at night, I still think of Ethan sometimes. Once, I slipped up. My brother teases, "Spring fever, huh? When do I meet this boyfriend? Gotta see who stole my little sis." No way. I dodge it, firing back, "But I saw you kissing someone the other day, girlfriend, right?" He shuts up. Time flies. My brother's wedding's coming up. Setting up the venue, I'm stuck blowing up balloons. At first, everyone's pitching in. But my hands get sore, and I realize they've all ditched, leaving me to do it alone. I'm grumbling when a balloon pops nearby. Turns out there's another poor soul stuck here. At least I'm not alone now. I know this guy, my brother's college roommate. Best man this time, Ryan. I met him a few times when I visited my brother. He looks at me, flustered after popping the balloon. Like a kid who messed up. His dazed expression makes me laugh. That breaks the awkwardness. We sit and blow up balloons together. It's actually kinda nice. After the wedding, I keep running into Ryan. Never noticed him much before. Now he's everywhere. After a while, I catch on. Ryan's into me. My brother notices too. For once, he acts like a big brother and pulls me aside. "What do you think of Ryan?" I bite my lip. "He's alright." Honest answer. After hanging out lately, I do think Ryan's cool. Good looking, polite. Even chasing me, he doesn't make me uncomfortable. It's all gradual. We're in that flirty phase now. My brother hesitates, then mumbles, "You're over that Ethan guy, right?" "Ethan? Who's that?" I stare at him, clueless. My brother chokes, giving me a weird look. Then he waves it off. Never mind, never mind. Just, if you're still hung up on someone, don't mess with Ryan. Or he'll eat you alive. Back in my room, I'm still puzzled. I run through every friend I know named Ethan. There's just one, a senior from school. But we barely met. And I'm straight. My brother can't think I'm into her, right? No clue what he's rambling about. He's not old, but he's losing it. The temperature drops, it's getting chilly. I bundle up and jog over to Ryan. "What's with the secrecy? Where are you taking me?" Ryan warms my hands in his, then tucks them into his coat pocket. "You'll see." He leads me to a glass greenhouse. It's full of sunflowers, my favorite. Bright blooms in the biting winter. It's a strange, beautiful contrast. I stand in the sunflower sea, watching steady Ryan fumble twice. I can guess what's coming. I wait patiently. Finally, he gets it out. "Lila, I like you. Will you be with me?" He's nervous. Snow starts falling outside. I look up at the flakes, pulling Ryan out of the greenhouse. Snow lands on my face, cold and sharp. My heart skips. "You okay?" Ryan asks, worried when I clutch my chest. I shake my head. "I'm fine." In minutes, a thin layer of snow coats the ground. Our hair and clothes are dusted white. I've seen how Ryan's been these past days. I take his hand, answering seriously, "Ryan, here's to growing old with the first snow." Ethan's side story. I really like a girl named Lila. I love calling her Lila, though. Her head's always full of wild ideas. I'd steal her toys, and she wouldn't get mad, just smile at me. Like I was some cute kitten. I hated that look, so I'd try to rile her up. Lila probably thought I was too young, so she'd tell me all sorts of weird stories. But she forgot, I'm small, not dumb. Lila said she came here because of a system. Once she finished her task, she could go home. Her real home. I didn't totally get it back then. But I knew she'd leave. Lila often spaced out alone. I'd ask what she was thinking. She'd always say she missed home. Her parents, her brother, her friends. We were neighbors. I knew she didn't have a brother here. She meant her other home. I liked Lila a lot. Fell for her the moment I saw her. I gave her all my toys, begging her to take me with her to her real home. She shook her head sadly. I can't take you. And I don't know when I'll go back. I was sad too. When she was 5, Lila got in a car accident. Not badly hurt, but she hit her head. After waking up, she was livelier, stopped giving me her toys. Even started stealing mine. I'd let her have them. But she hadn't told me about her old life in ages. I asked, don't you want to go home anymore? Miss your brother? What brother? She shot back, confused. Lila lost her memory. I was bummed I couldn't hear her old stories. But part of me was glad she wouldn't leave now. After high school, Lila and I got together. The second she said yes, my heart nearly stopped. How could one person's words mess with me so much? I spent every day plotting how to marry her. Took her to do all the couple stuff. Didn't want regrets later. What others had, my Lila deserved too. She'd complain I was too flashy, called me a show-off. Fine, show-off it is. I wanted the world to know. Lila was mine. We went to class together, stepped into the real world together. Built our home together. I was always planning a proposal. But Lila's too oblivious to catch my hints. I thought we'd be happy forever. Then Sophie showed up. Lila got weirdly hostile toward her. No biggie, if she didn't like her, I'd steer clear. But even then, Lila got paranoid. Even when I did nothing, she'd look at me with doubt. We started fighting, going cold. Honestly, it tore me up. 20+ years, no one knows Lila better than me. I knew she didn't mean it. I tried taking her to a doctor. She refused. While I was stressing, Sophie came to me. Talking to Sophie left me stunned and wrecked. Systems, transmigration, she wasn't new to me. Lila told me about it before she lost her memory. I remembered every word she said. I knew she wanted to go home. It's been her dream. In her real world, her family's waiting. But letting go so damn hard. I can't picture life without her. Forgive my selfishness this once. I've only ever loved Lila. I tried keeping her safe in my world. But now, I'm saying stuff that cuts her. She looks at me with cold, distant eyes. The gap between us widens. She's always crying, my heart's breaking. I team up with Sophie, agreeing to her plan. She doesn't want to be controlled either. We fake the plot. I just want Lila to get back to the home she's longed for. It's all I can do for her. I never thought I'd say such awful things to her. Her holding back tears, her disappointment, I see it all. I'm supposed to hate her sadness, but now I pretend it doesn't faze me. The girl I've cherished for years, I've hurt the deepest. One day, Lila gives up on me. Her eyes fill with sorrow as she starts erasing herself. She thinks I'm too dense to notice. But she doesn't know how much I love her. I've memorized everything about her. The house gets emptier. So does my heart, like it's leaking air. Lila's body weakens. I know it's the sign she's leaving this world. I can't sleep, sneaking in to watch her while she's out. Slipping back before she wakes. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Lila starts saying goodbye to this world. She plans everything. Sends me away. Closes her bank account, visits the stray cat and Noah. From college to high school, back to our old neighborhood. Step by step, to where we met. I didn't go on that trip. I followed her, watching her uncover my old secrets. Before, I'd be thrilled she finally saw how much I loved her. Now, after hurting her so bad, those sweet moments are daggers to the heart. I thought watching her fade was the worst pain. Until she fell in a pool of blood. That's when I learned despair. Why'd this happen? Why this accident? I couldn't breathe, holding her helplessly. The blood burned my eyes. My vision blurred, my voice shook. Lila looked at me calmly, wiping my tears one last time. Then closed her eyes. She left me. It's been a year since Lila vanished from my world. The stuff she took or sold, I got it all back. Bit by bit, I restored our home to how it was. Pretending she's still here. But my heart's empty, and nothing fills it. Lila's probably back in her old world. Forgotten me. She doesn't know I overheard her call the system. I know I'm this world's male lead. I threatened the system with my life to send her back and wipe her memories of me. Of this world. I treated her so badly, she's better off not remembering. She deserves someone better. Another early winter. Snow falls, people rush by. I envy the couples playing in it. My heart aches again. I know I'll never see her familiar figure or feel her sneak her hands into my coat to warm up. Here's to growing old with the first snow. It's snowing, Lila. Can you see it?